afternoon, everyone. 4 o'clock straight up on the East Coast. It is indeed a Friday edition of Middays with Q. As we like to say, it is a what the frig Friday edition of Middays with Q. I'm your host, as always, Rich Quinones. 2 hours to play with. We'll take up to 6 o'clock straight up on what has turned out to be a absolutely gorgeous Friday, late June the 20th. 2025. Get in on the conversation, get connected with us, get social with us. We are just running through the gamut. We are live, powered by our wonderful friends over at TriX57. Get social with them as well. Log on to TriX57.com or check us out on their Facebook page. And as I mentioned, it is a What the Frig Friday, which basically means over the next 2 hours, what made you say what the frig this week in the world of sports? John Bueller is going to join me at 5:05. We've got a lot to get into on this Friday. We really do, because we're getting ready now to start to get into the dog days of summer. And this is where you gotta fill time, right? You gotta fill spots. You got baseball, you got NFL, WNBA, you got soccer, you got the trade deadline in MLB. You have the NBA Finals, believe it or not, just hanging around, hovering the Indiana Pacers. I will get to them in a second. But man, I'm telling you, I am craving for football. I'm craving for football. I am. I'm watching old, like, preseason games on NFL Network. Games from 2020, 2019, 2018. I'm Googling, I'm YouTubing all these old games, preseason, regular season, playoff games. I need my football fill, period. And we will get into a little NFL later on today. But you got to start with this. How in the world? And I know if it was a Monday, if it was a Lunes, Manolo, man up, Mentiroso Monday, I would have to man up. But because it's a Friday, I'm not technically going to man up. But explain to me, how in the world do we have a Game 7 in the NBA Finals? Please, for the life of me, how do we have a Game 7? I was adamant, I was cocky, I was confident, I was brash. I said the series is over. OKC, back up the bus. Pacers start packing. No way were we going to get to this point. What did I see last night? We talk about what the frig in the world of sports. What the frig did I see last night? Is it just Oklahoma City is a fraud? I mean, is that where we're at right now when we're talking about OKC? Is this a fraud team? Is that even possible? Or are they just immature? Are they just an immature team? I don't get it. I do not understand for the life of me how in the world you let a team like the Indiana Pacers, who are inferior to you, hang around. Alligator blood. Just like Mike McDermott in Rounders, alligator blood, just hanging around game 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, they're getting blown out. They're going back and forth. And then, I know already, because I already see the comments coming in, with the stats that you guys were throwing out in my grill yesterday. The stats. Indiana after a loss, this, that, the other thing. There's no way, if you're OKC, you're sitting and you're staring, you're looking in the mirror today and you're saying to yourself, how the heck did we get to this point? How the heck did we get to this point? Because I don't have the answers. They got lambasted last night, 108-91, and the game wasn't even competitive. You've got an opportunity to close out a series, an NBA Finals series, to win a championship with the face of the league, the face of the franchise, an MVP player. And you don't even show up. You don't even show up yesterday. That's embarrassing against a team that has no business being in the NBA Finals, a team that won 18 games more than you. I mean, the Indiana Pacers won 50 games. OKC won 68. Explain this to me. Make it make sense. And I don't want to hear this is the NBA. It's all about runs. This is what they do. This is bad. This is bad. Listen, and I know the league won 7 games, but I'm not going to subscribe to this theory that the games are rigged. That's just goofy talk. I don't believe in any of that. I just believe OKC maybe is not as good as we think they are, which sits with me. It doesn't sit well with me because I know to a man, if my Knicks were playing OKC right now, maybe the Knicks have an opportunity to win a championship. But that's just me. It's game 7. Does anyone care at this point? The ratings stink. The ratings have stunk for these NBA finals because you have 2 markets that are not good. And I'm watching this game last night and I just cannot rationalize it. How can you win 68 games and not show up in a closeout game? Listen, I know ultimately the NBA, there's a hardcore fan base. I love basketball. I love hoops. My Knicks are not in the finals. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I can't stand Indiana. OKC, hey, give them their flowers. But we're talking about an unlikely run right now by the Indiana Pacers. We really are. We're talking about an unlikely run. And the numbers suggest nobody's watching. You're talking about average viewers per game in 2022 NBA Finals. 2022, 12.4 million. 2023, 11.7 million. 2024, 11.3 million. 2025, 8.95. Games 1 and 3, which we already saw the numbers after they were released, have stunk. And yet, somehow, we're to game 7 of a series that should have been over with? Bad. It's just not good. It really isn't. The product is so watered down. I just, for the life of me, how in the world, if you are OKC, do you not even know what the heck's going on? Do you not even understand the magnitude where you're at right now as a franchise? That you are 1 win away from the NBA Finals, and now, and I get it, they're going to be favored again. They'll probably be about a 5.5, 6-point favorite. Sunday, ABC, Game 7, here we go. Get the ratings fiasco, the ratings galore. But defensively last night, the lapses. Defensively, they hung around for a quarter. They didn't show up for the second quarter. Indiana waxed them 36-17 in points. Toppin was going off. Nembhard was going off. Siakam looks like right now your finals MVP, believe it or not. McConnell coming off the bench doing what he does. I mean, that kid he just delivers all the time. It doesn't matter. Whatever role, coming off the bench, starting, bouncing around from team to team, the kid's just a pro's pro. And then Halliburton, who I've been critical of, gutted it out. Pacers started slow and then basically ran away with the game. And I thought this was a series that was going to be a matchup nightmare for the Indiana Pacers. Hasn't been the case. It hasn't been the case. This has been just a debacle of an NBA Finals if you're an OKC fan. It really is. Because you're the better team. You're the better team. And you're not even showing up. This is embarrassing. You got the face of the league, franchise player, MVP. Isn't his job supposed to carry you? Isn't that what superstar players do? You got an opportunity to hoist a trophy. You got to give me better than 21. I mean, nobody showed up last night. They tried to make the switch, benching Hartenstein. That didn't work. Tried to go with Caruso. Backfired. Just horrible. Just a horrible game and a horrible loss for OKC. And I'm telling you, I'm more annoyed because I know the Knicks probably would have made this a series. They probably would have made this a series. And right now, it's not. And I'm not going to be shocked. The way my NBA picks have gone, WNBA is a different story, thank you. But the way my NBA picks are going, horrible. I might have to reverse mush it. We might have to Death Star reverse mush it with the mic. I might have to just, go heavy on Indiana and take the points. The Pacers, they got up and down the floor. The perimeter defense was on point. They were not allowing transitional buckets. They were not allowing easy layups. And right now, They look like the better team. And it's just, I, I think OKC is a very immature team. They're not the Golden State Warriors a couple years ago. They're not the Splash Brothers. They're not a team that can get down by 15, 18 and go on a run. This is not who they are. I mean, think about this series. The whole complexion of the series potentially changed over the course of 24 minutes last night when the Pacers outscored the Thunder 68-32. This is an Indiana team, folks, that hasn't led by more than 10 points at any time in the first 5 games. You cannot make this up. Game 7, Sunday night. Here we go. Let's get to some of the comments. And again, we're cranking up on a Friday edition. Middays with Q. A lot to dissect and a lot to get into. Let's start off. Man chimes in. Here we go with the banker hours again. We fired off at 4 o'clock. That's what we do. We fired off at 4 o'clock. I don't understand the listening audience, and I love you guys to death. I love you guys to death. Would you like me to start at 3 o'clock? Is that something that you would be interested in? Is that now what we want to do? We have fire off. We're on multiple platforms. We're trying to keep, our good friends over at TriX57 happy. They're loving us. So we fire off a couple minutes early. That's all part of the process. De facto leader of the Bunker Boys chimes in. Good afternoon, Q. And the room, reading the room. Did anyone get in on the Pacers game 6 trend I spoke about yesterday? I will say this. That was an exceptional call by you, de facto. That was an exceptional call by you. I obviously did not. You know which direction I laid my hat. And and that's a loss, but we made it up with the WNBA play. Read the room wisely. Correct. You have to read the room. And we start off with the NBA. We're engaged in NBA talk. You did exactly what you were supposed to do, period. That's all we were looking for. Scott chimes in. Was it me or did it look like the Thunder only had maybe 10 or 11 open looks? They didn't pull the trigger on 4 of them. Pacers played tough defense. That's been the deciding factor of the series, right? When the Pacers have won, it's a great point you bring up. It's just defense. It's defense. I mean, when they get out like this, they're just a different animal. They're a different type of team. Sergeant Delaware chiming in Q. The hell with the banker hours. We got ourselves a game 7. Why are you not excited about this? Because no one's watching these finals, Sarge. That's why. No one's watching these finals. Yes, we watch. I watch. Some of the listeners watch the commentary. The commentators watch. The hardcore basketball watches. But there's no juice to these finals. There's nothing exciting about these finals. What's the storyline? Give me a storyline. What? Halliburton in a calf strain? SGA winning the MVP and then no showing last night? Perhaps maybe OKC is just not ready for this moment. Is that possible? That they're just not ready for the moment. Q, are you prepared to cook OKC? I'm not going to say cooked. And I'm going to tell you why. There are certain trends you have to follow, as you did yesterday brilliantly, Trevor. You followed the trends, and hopefully you put a little coin in the pocket. I hope you did. But the trend here is when you think about teams playing a game 7 at home. That's, to me, that's kind of like your saving grace, right? Because a game 7, man, you should not lose a game 7 at home. Now, the caveat with this series is it's been very fluky. There's really been no rhyme or reason. When you think, okay, she's going to blow out Indiana, Indiana wins. Indiana took game 1, right? That was a surprise. That set the tone for the entire series. So now the momentum, if we're really being honest right now, the momentum is on Indiana. And I'm telling you, if they win if they win game 7, Siakam's going to be the MVP. I mean, he's been steady Eddie. He has been as steady as they come. He really has. He has basically given them the lift. He's given them the consistency. He's playing both ends of the floor. Now, I can also make a case, believe it or not. As crazy as it sounds, TJ McConnell, who's a reserve coming off the bench, has also been the savior for the Indiana Pacers. He's been the savior for the Indiana Pacers every time this kid's out on the floor. And you're talking 6 men are going to back him. You can make a case for this kid coming off the bench. He's just had that type of series. He's been instrumental with runs. He plays without fear. You look at his plus minus differential when he's out on the floor. He's a smart basketball player. He rarely turns the ball over, and he gives them quality minutes. Last night, 6 of 12. He had 5 rebounds. Check that. 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and he scored 12 points. He was plus 10. Almost had a triple-double. Now you're talking about a player coming off the bench playing 24 minutes. Playing 24 minutes. Thunder giving 8.5. That's a Thunder line to me for Game 7. 8.5. It sprung up to 8.5. Last I checked, it was 6.5. Maybe that's what it opened with, and maybe it's moved up. I think it's going to settle and close right around 7.5, Scott. But look at the way this series is going. Look, Indiana has been a dog in every game. They've been a dog in every game in this series. They don't care. The other issue, too, that we don't talk about, it started 3. This is my relaxation time after work. Please keep it at 4. All right, there you go. See that? This is what happens when the people have spoken and the corporation is starting to speak. Now, there might be a divide with the corporation today. I don't know. We don't know. Yes, appease Howie and his schedule. All right, we're going to listen. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We'll keep it at 4. Maybe during the NFL season, who knows? Maybe we expand. Maybe we start earlier. Maybe we end later. Burke is just impossible to listen to. It doesn't help. I don't have a problem with Doris Burke. I mean, we're going there already, right? We're going there. No hesitation. I never hesitate. Never let them see a sweat. No. And I'm not reverse mushing. I'm not. Kevin and Jackson chimes in on X saying, there it is. Reverse mush. No. Absolutely not. Matty G in Delaware chiming in on XQ. I don't think OKC is inconsistent. I don't think they're immature. I just think you're not giving enough credit to Indiana. That's a fair point. Maybe I wouldn't say my bias against Indiana. I just don't think. I look at Indiana. They don't blow me away. They don't. I'm not enamored by Indiana. Am I still ticked off that they beat the Knicks? Yeah, I am. But this right now, we talk about unlikely runs to championships. As a fan base, when your team just has one of those years and they start winning and they win games they shouldn't win. The Indiana Pacers were horrible the first 25 games of the NBA season. They were absolutely horrible. And that's a team that for a 50-win team, they're not going to blow you away. They're not. But yet they've hung around. Players have stepped up. Unlikely heroes have stepped up. Now, to win a Game 7 on the road in an NBA Finals, history says that history is on the side of OKC. But I believe all bets are off. I mean, we haven't had a Game 7 in a very long time. You got to go back Cleveland and Golden State. Now you're talking about ultimately one of the greatest comebacks, not only in sports history, NBA history, right? Remember that. Cavaliers were cooked. They were trailing that Golden State Warrior squad 3-1. They pulled out victories in Game 5 in the Bay, Game 6 at home, and then that was the winner-take-all showdown in Oracle Arena. And remember that series. That's a Golden State team that won 73 games. They were 39-2 at home. They were almost like the 84-85 Boston Celtics at home. They won, I think, 38 games. They only lost a couple at home. They were dominant. Then prior to that, you got to go back to 78. The then Washington Bullets. So you have a 38-year gap, 78 to 2016. And that Bullets team played the Seattle Supersonics. And that's the game where Dennis Johnson was horrible. Then you got the 74 Celtics, and obviously that great 69 Celtics team. That was unbelievable. Lakers win Game 1, 2, and 5 in the Forum, and then the Celtics win Game 3, 4, 6 and they take it back in the Garden. Game 7, it was in a, you're talking about being on the road. On the road in Game 7 in Los Angeles, Jerry West pumps in 42, and they still win. They still win, the Boston Celtics. So history says it's right there for OKC because it's a rarity for a road team to come in to someone else's house and get that win. But I think at this point, all bets are off. I really do. Because this series has no rhyme to it. There's no rhythm or rhyme to the series. And when I say rhythm or rhyme, nothing makes sense about this NBA Finals. It doesn't. Nothing makes sense. Think about these games. Think about these games. You had basically, if you go back and you look at this series, and depending upon who wins it, one team's going to be kicking themselves. That game 111, 110, that was OKC's game. Then they come back, they blow out the Pacers by 16. Remember, I came on the air, all is well, they're going to win gentleman's sweep. How many guys were commenting in gentleman's sweep, gentleman's sweep? I mean, my buddies were texting on a chain saying absolutely no way Indiana or the Knicks are going to get destroyed. And then the Pacers come back and they beat them by 9. Then they lose 2 straight. For them to win last night and the way they won in a thumping and a clipping, that's impressive. Now, you want to talk about legacy? Well, think about this. You got SGA if you're OKC. He's the MVP of the league. He's the face of the NBA. He's the face of the franchise. He better not have a dud. I mean, that kid better get to the line 25 times on Sunday night. He better pump in at least 35 because if he has a bad game and Indiana wins and they're winning with role players like the Pistons did many moons ago in the early 2000s, if you remember that squad, Wallace, Billups, Rip Hamilton, and like, it reminds me of this Indiana team. It really does. There's no star power. You got a nice little mix of journeyman role players, cast-offs, Halliburton, maybe right there on the cusp of being that potential star. Siakam's won before with Toronto. He's a proven winner. He's a veteran. He's been around the block. It's tough. It's tough. Yeah, Man had OKC in 4. And then it went to a gentleman's sweep. So you went from 4 to 5, and now look at you. Now look at you. You're like Omar and Scarface. You're fertilizer right now. This is bad. This is not good. This is not good for anyone that had OKC. Took Indiana in the series. You're looking real nice right now. God bless you. Running out on Sunday. And you don't even have to worry about, if you want to hedge, then you obviously take Indiana on the money. Well, not even hedge, but take Indiana on the money line. Get a little more value. This series has zero juice, but it shows you. It shows you why the NBA, it is a little different than, say, baseball and the NHL. We know in the playoffs in the NFL, you can pull off upsets, some rarities. We saw Washington go on the road and thump Detroit. Okay, fine. But if you think about these, these road warriors that Indiana is, right? The Pacers blew out the Thunder in Game 6. Now, man, if they go out on the road Sunday night in a Game 7 in a hostile environment and they beat this team by 15, 20, I think that's more of an indictment on Oklahoma City. I really do. Because they're going to have to, Indiana Pacers are going to have to weather the early storm. The crowd, SGA is going to get some of these calls. And please don't, I don't want to hear, because I'm already seeing it. I'm already seeing it right now, to be honest. Dave, Delaware, Joe D, Tom and Summers Point, hashtag rigged. The NBA is not rigged. We're not going there on a Friday. We're not. I don't want to, this sentiment that some believe this is exactly, quote, what the NBA wants. Yeah, because it's 7 games. But the NBA would have much rather had the Knicks in OKC than Indiana in OKC. Because these markets, no disrespect to them, they're small markets. But I don't want to hear this nonsense that it's rigged. That's goofy talk. It's goofy talk. There's no rig. You want to look at the foul disparity. There's bad calls, there's missed calls. We've seen it all the time. Indiana is trying to do something that is extremely rare, and that is win a Game 7 on the road. I gave you the teams. Cleveland in 2016, Washington in 1978, the Boston Celtics in 1974. And that was a great team. And then the Celtics again in 69. So you're talking four teams. Are the Pacers going to be the fifth? I don't know. I think it would be a colossal, epic failure on the part of OKC to win 68 games in a regular season, have the MVP of the league, okay, essentially have a game seven at home court advantage, and you lose an NBA Finals. I think it would go down as one of the most colossal choke jobs ever. You don't win close to 70 games and run roughshod through the Western Conference Finals, start to finish the best team in basketball, and then you get beat in 7 games by a team that won 50 games during the regular season. Colossal choke job. Colossal choke job. And I don't know if you respond from that. I really don't. You're going to see what kind of heart this team has. You're going to see how this team rallies, right? Yeah. In the West, no less. Correct. Yep. In the West, no less. 68 wins. 68 wins. And you no-show in a closeout game in the NBA Finals. Where the hell's your pride? Like, where's your pride? Do you understand what you're playing for here? This team thinks they're the Showtime Lakers, the Boston Celtics, the 90s Bulls, the Splash Brothers. What do they think? They can just turn it on and turn it off whenever they want? No. Indiana's been more physical. They've hustled to the ball more. They're playing with more sense of urgency. This team is just lackadaisical, lackluster. I would really, someone on that squad, and I'm talking about OKC, you got to have a meeting, and you got to figure out who's in and who's not. It will go down as a colossal choke job. As de facto, Trevor likes to say, mark the tape. 27 past 4 o'clock hour, just cranking it up on a Friday edition of Middays with Q, coming at you live inside the friendly confines of Tri-X 57. We are streaming live. Got a lot of comments coming in. By the way, you guys know I'm a movie buff. Well, you should know that by now. Going a little direction today. Little direction. Well, we'll give you what's trending coming back on the other side. But here's my question of the day. Is Jaws top 10 all time? Now, it's the 50th anniversary of Jaws. I believe there's 5 to 6 movies. 5 to 6 movies, like in my library. It doesn't matter what scene is on during the movie. It doesn't matter. It can be in the beginning, the middle, or the end. And I have 5 to 6 movies. I'm going to share them with you on the other side. I'm just going to throw that out there on a Friday for you guys to get in on the conversation. But it doesn't matter the scene. I will literally watch. I'll stop everything, boom, and I will watch. And Jaws might be one of those movies as well. Don't forget John Bueller, 505, little baseball talk, and we will get into some NFL with him. And don't look now, but who leads the WNBA in all-star voting? So we'll dive into a little bit of that on the other side as well. A lot of comments coming in. You guys think OKC is cooked. Some guys think the NBA is rigged. Other guys think they don't care. They don't want to hear NBA talk on a Friday. Not a problem. We'll rip through your comments. Keep it locked in. Very busy show, as I mentioned. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up. Don't forget to get social with us. As always, it's very easy to do. Tri-X57.com. Follow them on their Facebook page. We are live streaming on their Facebook page as we speak. We'll pull up the graphic for you so you get them on Facebook, IG, and X. You can also log on to the website, Tri-X57.com. You can follow me on IG and X at RichQ on Q and TikTok, RichQ on the mic. So we'll get the comments on the other side. A little more NBA talk. I'm going to mix in a little baseball talk. But yeah, I do believe if OKC spits the bid here in a game 7 at home, it is a colossal and epic failure. So we'll get your thoughts as well on that on this Friday. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up as always. Keep it locked in to a Friday edition Middays with Q.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
All right, welcome back, everyone. 31 past the 4 o'clock hour. Let me get to some of these comments. Hugh, I think that's a little outlandish. You're saying if OKC loses, it's an epic choke job. It is. It is. Who is that? Matty G. That's a team that won 68 games. How are we saying it's not? Explain that to me. Because any other team, we will look at it and say that's an epic choke job. You know it, and I know it. It's bad. I would not. I don't. I would not want to be an OKC fan at this moment. I'd be a little nervous, to be quite honest with you. I really would. But you also want to look at it from this standpoint. You can right the ship. You still have time. It's game 7. You're at home. You thunder up, as they say, right? That's the hashtag or the trending for OKC. But if you lose this game, you've got no one. You lose the series, you've got no one else to blame but yourself, because it was right there for you. It was absolutely right there for you. What do we got? Kevin and Deffert. Q, give us a list of those. Oh, Kiki's getting all fired up on a Friday. That's what she does. She's getting fired up on a Friday. Give me that list of 5. So she knows the 5 that we're talking about. She knows the 5. So let me give you the 5 on that. All right, this is what we got here. So I'm going to give you the 5 games and the 5 movies, I should say, that I really like. So you can, these are the movies that I think no matter where you have them at any time, you can just fire them up. I didn't put them on the graphic in a banner, but I'm just going to give you them. So number 1, it's got to be The Godfather. Got to be The Godfather. You can watch that any moment, any scene, and you're good to go. Godfather's number 1. I'm actually going to have Scarface in there as well, because that's one of my all-time favorites. I don't care what scene is on. I'm locked in. I'm loaded. Shawshank, I'm great. And again, these are subjective listings, right? Number 1, number 2, number 3. So you got Godfather, the original. You got Shawshank. You got Scarface. Jaws is definitely the movie that no matter what, it doesn't matter the scene, you should be able to just watch it. And then I have a couple of comedies mixed in as well. Like I am for me, Spaceballs is right there. The Naked Gun is right there. But those are and Die Hard. Those are kind of my movies that I don't care what scene the movie's on. I really don't. I will watch. I will consistently watch. There's absolutely no way on God's green earth that Goodfellas is better than Godfather. Now, let me ask you guys a question, because everyone loves Goodfellas, but the ones that always say that, have you watched the original Godfather? Do you realize that the scene in the Italian restaurant basically not only made Al Pacino, but it saved his career? Like that scene is immortalized. That scene is historical. You put it in historical context. It's they teach classes, acting classes. They show that scene because Pacino was very close to getting fired. And that scene, when they rushed it, they basically showed the clips, and that allowed him to stay on set. I mean, everyone knows that. There's no Goodfellas is a good movie. It is. It really is. It's a great movie, but it's not on the level of The Godfather. It's just not. That's like saying the. Let me say this. So here we go. I watch Godfather. Tough to keep eyes open, but that just shows you that your movie knowledge, credibility. I'm sorry, man. I got to take umbrage with it. It's suspect. It is. It's suspect. You have to watch that movie for what it is. It's a classic. By the way, without The Godfather, I got news for you, my friend. There's no Goodfellas. There's no Goodfellas. Without The Godfather, there's no Goodfellas. So let's stop right there. De facto with a very Goodfellas, Blues Brothers, Snatch, The Road Warrior, Super Bad. That's it. That's the list. No, Road Warrior, 1981, Mad Max, not bad. Super Bad was good. Snatch was pretty good. Blues Brothers, a classic. Yeah, but that, come on, that's just stop. Stop. Goodfellas loosely based on Henry the Rat Hill. No, that genre. No. That genre of mafia movies doesn't exist without The Godfather. It just doesn't. Stop. Now you're embarrassing yourself. That's a what the frig moment on a Friday, man. So just stop. Henry the Rat Hill. Ray Liotta was absolutely, he was fantastic. He was absolutely brilliant in that movie. He really was. First Lady chiming in. Q, loving the list. I'm going to go Shawshank. I'm going to go Godfather Part 2. I'm going to go Princess. Oh, she's throwing Princess Bride in there. Princess Bride, which was a very funny movie. Spaceballs and From Here to Eternity. All right, a little more old school. We can live with that. It would have started one way or another. Yeah, you're just defending. That's what you're doing. You're just defending. You're doing until the cows came home, and that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. Listen, I appreciate the fact that you have a loyalty to that movie. I do. But as I mentioned to you, I don't feel it's the same level as The Godfather, because you have a movie that basically that set the tone for all the mafia movies. It just did. It's a fact. It did. It really did. Look at that cast: Pacino, Brando, Khan, John Cazale, Fredo, Diane Keaton, Taylor Shire. I mean, you have to watch the whole movie all the way through. You have to. You really have to sit down and watch it. It's like we're sports fans, right? And we like to compare. So Goodfellas and The Godfather, it's almost like saying, I don't know. You're a 49ers fan, right? So you're going to go 84 49ers, 84-85 when they waxed Miami in the Super Bowl 38-16. You're going to go 81 49ers where they beat Cincinnati. They beat Dallas in the NFC Championship. You're a 49ers fan. That was a dynasty. These movies are classic. They're dynasties. So if you're comparing them right now, I would say Goodfellas is the 81 49ers. A nice, cute team. A good team that won a chip, but they weren't dominant. Then I would tell you that the 89 49ers, Godfather, where they just ran roughshod. Goodfellas was easier to follow and develop faster than The Godfather because you don't appreciate the story. You don't appreciate in Goodfellas. None of the characters pivoted. They didn't. The writing was brilliant, but none of the characters pivoted. Meaning, if you watch The Godfather, It's like watching that quarterback jump from year number 1 to year number 2. We talk about the progressions, right? In the beginning, Al Pacino wanted nothing to do with the family business. He wanted nothing to do with the family business. He didn't. And then as the movie started to pick up and we kind of get, near the middle of the movie, that's when Pacino sold his soul. And obviously, if you haven't seen, I'm not going to ruin it for you, but the restaurant scene is the coup de grace. That's when he turned into Michael Corleone. And at the end of the movie, he was, in essence, the Don, the Godfather. In Goodfellas, it's not like Henry Hill, he was always a gangster, even from the time he was a kid. He never did that pivot. He never did that 180. Pesci's character never did that. De Niro's character never did it. They were who they were are and who they were in the beginning, middle, and aside from poor Pesci, to the end. That's the difference. You want that character development, and that's exactly what they gave you in The Godfather. And I stand behind that. Joe DQ, you've been talking about The Godfather for 20 plus years on the radio. We know it's your all-time favorite. And guess what? I'm actually going to side with you. Philly guy, South Philly, Godfather is my movie. Goodfellas comes in number 2. Joe D. There you go. When Joe D has something to say, people listen. That's all I'm saying. People listen. What do we got there? Kevin and Jackson chimes in. Q, I got my 5 for you. They're all comedies. Ooh, check out this list. Tell me what you guys think. Spaceballs, Naked Gun 2, Naked Gun 3, Smell of Fear, Caddyshack, and History of the World Part 1. Not bad. Caddyshack, you can throw that up there. Jaws, 50 years. Think about that. It's a timeless classic. It is a timeless classic. You can watch from any scene and you can enjoy it. Put your sports hat on for a minute. Think about your team. Think about a run that your team had. Maybe you're a Giants fan. So, 2007, 2011, 86, 90. You're a 49ers fan. Maybe you're an Eagles fan. Maybe you're a Phillies fan. An old school Sixers fan or a Flyers fan. You think about those 70s and those runs and the Sixers in the 80s. Like, to me, as you get older, you appreciate it more as a sports fan. You appreciate it as a sports fan. That's how I look at some of these movies, and that's how I look at a movie like Jaws that's 50 years old. Like, it never disappoints. It was written. It was brilliantly written. You had character development. You had depth. That movie comes out in the summer and people are afraid to go in the water. Goodfellas, comes out and no one's afraid to walk across the street. Like, Jaws is a timeless classic. And if you kind of equate it to sports, it's like watching your team make this great run or being part of something special in a dynasty, and you get to relive it over and over and over. That's all I'm saying about Jaws. That's it. And that's why I have it in that top 5. Like, that is, we talk about, the Mount Rushmore when we talk sports teams. Jaws, to me, come on, 50 years ago, and by the way, it's the first summer blockbuster. That was landmark for Hollywood. And I've done this on the air. Some people haven't seen some of the movies that I watch, and that's okay. I'll give you guys my Netflix, shows and picks. But to me, the lines, it's just, it was a cultural phenomenon. That's it. That's all it was. It was unbelievable. 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 No, de facto is not correct on it. Listen, you have to set the stage, right? So, like, if you go the horror genre, you start with Psycho, the original. And then from there, what the frig? There you go. Really? You can't appreciate, great classics. But if you go Psycho, it leads right into what? All the B movies in the 60s, and then in the 70s, without Halloween, you're not getting who? You're not getting Freddy Krueger. You're not getting Jason Voorhees. You're just not. You're not. Matt in Wilmington chimes in. Q, love it when you talk to movies and you're trying to equate it to the sports dynasties and analogies. Jaws definitely top 5. Enjoying the show as always. Thank you, Matty. I appreciate that. Not a snooze fest. Not a snooze fest whatsoever. We'll ask John this at 5:05. So you got NBA Finals Game 6. I want to get to some more comments on that. We got Jaws 50th. We got a little MLB we got to dive into. I mentioned to you, too, I want to kind of go through what's trending. So some things you might not have heard in the world of sports. And obviously, we already know what's trending right now, NBA-wise. You have Game 7. But how about this? Caitlin Clark leads early voting for WNBA All-Star. And another slinging Sammy. Sammy Sosa back to Wrigley after 20-plus year absence. Man, did he not fall off the face of the earth? Sammy Sosa. That was a hell of a run, him and McGuire back in 98. Now, yes, it was fueled by steroids. We know that, but still, that was a fantastic run. That brought baseball back, period. It brought baseball back. That was a fun summer to watch. Absolutely fun summer to watch. And, Sosa, I think Sosa to some extent gets a bad rap with the court bat and then not understanding English and all this stuff. But if you look at his numbers, man, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer. He's not going to get in, but he's a Hall of Famer. 600 home runs, 609, but he's not getting in. All those guys, that juice ball, steroid, Mitchell report, none of those guys are going to get in. None of them are going to get in. And if you've been watching baseball closely, some of these teams right now, and even in our backyard, and I mentioned this earlier today on the Tri-X 57 Sports Flash. So I'll start with the Phillies for a moment, then we'll hit a break. So the Phillies right now, they're on a little bit of a run, right? They're 8-2 over the last 10. But their offense stinks. Kyle Schwarber has 23 home runs right now for the Phillies. No one else on the team has more than 9. No one else. I mean, and Harper, he's still dealing with the wrist, the inconsistencies. He's banged up. Turner, Castellanos. And they're tied with the Mets on top of the NL East because the Mets have just stunk. The Mets have dropped 8 straight. If you're a Met fan, you're saying to yourself, what the hell's going on here? They had a great run where they won 13 out of 15. They got swept by Tampa Bay. They got swept by the Atlanta Braves. This is a critical series right now for the Mets and Phillies as they clash. But we're talking about, again, some of these teams right now, man, it's feast or famine. The Yankees are so inconsistent. The Phillies offense is consistent. They got really good pitching, though, last night. I mean, that's the one saving grace for the Phillies. They've got some pretty good frontline starters. They can always use an extra arm, but you've got some guys that have pitched really well for the Phillies this season. Suarez has pitched well. Sanchez has pitched well. Wheeler's going to eat up the innings. We already know that Luzardo has pitched well, even though he's bounced back from a couple losses. But Wheeler's got 7 wins. Sanchez 6. Luzardo 6. Ranger Suarez has 6. I mean, the guys are pitching well. They're pitching well. They need that offense to wake up a little bit. This is a critical series right now. Phillies and the Mets. I mean, this is what you want. Mid-June, the Phillies were trailing by 4.5, 5.5, and now they're knotted up, and here we go. Wheeler's going to be on the hill, so expect him to pitch lights out tonight against his former team. He's a workhorse. You talk about a pitcher that you don't have to shorten the game. He'll give you 6, 7, 8. He is an absolute workhorse. All right, 4:48, quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side. A lot of comments coming in on the movies, on Game 7, NBA. Some guys taking a little umbrage with me calling OKC frauds. We'll get to your comments as well. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up on a Friday edition of Middays with Q on this 20th of June, 2025. Keep it locked in. Very busy show. John Bueller, 5:05.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609 484 9800.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
All right, 4:50 on a Friday. A lot of stuff to get into. You can tell it's starting to, summer's starting to pick up because when I walk Kiki now, you get all the out-of-towners. And I got to be honest, they don't know what the heck they're doing with these dogs. I mean, it's when I walk her, like this is a pet peeve of mine. And I don't know if there's other pet owners that are tuning in, but I don't talk on my phone. Yeah, do I take a photo and a video of her? Sure. And, bombard it, and send it to my buddies. Yeah, why not? Because I'm proud of having a little pooch. But I don't talk on the phone while I'm walking the dog. And you can tell right away. I'm not going to call out the out-of-towners. They already know who they are. But folks, get it together, will you? Get it together. Like, pay attention. Pay attention when you're walking the dog. I just don't get it. It's not too much to ask. Like, focus. Absolutely focus. D. Claymont chimes in. Q dressed up again. Banker hours? No. Got a broadcast tonight. You guys are fixated on the attire. What's the big deal? I told you, the weather starting to get a little hotter out, so that's when we'll go to the polos, the tees, the sharp ones, look nice, play the part. What's the big deal? Fixated. I'm giving you good sports content here, and you're worried about what kind of my attire on this Friday. You guys got to do better than that. I mean, seriously, this is where we're at. Let me get to some of these comments. You guys are goofballs on a Friday. All right, so how about, here's one for you guys. You'll enjoy this one. This is from Q, NBA Finals. I'm hooked. I'm winning some money. Unlike you, laugh out loud. I didn't think OKC's immature. I'm not going to call them a fraud. Maybe the moment's too big. What say you? You won 68 games. You won 68 games. Come on. You got to stop. Right? Thundergrowl on XQ enjoying the NBA talk. All the starters on the bench. Something's not right with this game. First time I ever contemplating a game being literally rigged. Q, don't go nuts. Don't go nuts. No way OKC plays this bad in a closeout game. Don't go nuts. Don't go nuts. Stop. Stop. The NBA, this bothers me to no end. It's not rigged. It's not rigged. Landon chimes in Q. I've never seen the Thunder play that bad. They haven't played good, but I'm not going to suggest that it's rigged. Like, you have to. This is not Donaghy, with the loose whistle or not making the calls in that King series against the Lakers. You have to show me. You have to show me again that it's rigged, right? And it's not. It's just not. It's just the NBA is a watered down product. They're not reading the beach. They're not reading the beach. Thank you. They're not. They have to. And the other thing is not to go too far down the rabbit hole, man. I got to tell you something else. When I see the PA licenses and the drop, they just always in a hurry. Where are we going? Where are we going? Where are we going? Someone I know who loves Godfather as the greatest movie ever also told me the Spanish bank robber show on Netflix was excellent and must watch. I don't know about him. He may fold under questioning. Money Heist. Oh, I raved about Money Heist. absolutely fantastic. I'm into a lot of Netflix has a lot of great shows they make in Europe, they make in Spain. I start to watch a lot of the ones that are made in like Tokyo, Japan. My Turkish Netflix drama, remember that one? That was 167 episodes. How in the world I got through that? Your guess is as good as mine. Let me get back to some more of these. Money Heist was great. I don't know why you guys see. I give you good shows, but then you guys just remember the ones that maybe are not to your liking. You guys start to question my knowledge. Q. Last night, I'm thinking to myself, if you're watching the Oklahoma City Thunder commit every foul possible and playing zero defense for the first time this series, you now understand why the NBA is rigged. Calm down, Q. Calm down. I know it's a what the freak Friday, but this was always going 7 games for the you know what. And then that's a couple of dollar signs. Teddy C times in Q. The NBA's rigged, bro. Get over it. This isn't the same OKC team that played 2 days ago. The NBA just won in a game 7. So, okay. Let me dance with you guys for a minute on this. So you're suggesting to me, what you're basically saying is that, again, OKC just decides not to no-show. Not to no-show. That's exactly what OKC decides. We have an opportunity to win the NBA championship, but because fans out there and people bet on these games, and Silver has to get a game 7, that the league is fixed. The league is rigged. I'm sorry. That's an absolutely asinine take. I don't subscribe to that at all. It's not. I'm a player. I'm making millions of dollars. You really think I want this series to go 7 games when I have an opportunity to close it out and win a championship? That's absurd. That logic, that line of thinking is really what's wrong with sports and social media. Because right away, we see chippiness, we see fouls, we see no calls, lack of calls, and we want to say rigged, rigged, rigged. It's such an easy out. It is a lazy argument. It is a, prove it to me. Show me. Show me. As de facto says, go to the tape. Mark the tape. I don't like bringing that up because we already went through this in the NBA many years ago with Tim Donaghy, who I interviewed that Monday after he did the 60 Minutes hit. He did one interview that Monday. That was on my show on 1290 The Ticket. And I flat out asked him about manipulating the outcome of these games. And to a T, he explained it. To a T. They're not doing that with this NBA Finals. They're not doing this with this year. They haven't done that in a long time. Just stop. It is just, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And maybe the basketball talk will be over by Tuesday, Trevor. Maybe the series will go 8 or 9 games. Who knows? There's plenty. We got 2 hours in a show. We got 2 hours. We mix and we match. That's what we do. We don't appease de facto leader, the Munker Boys. I'm answering comments from the faithful listeners who think the NBA is rigged. I think it's a crock. You know what? I don't subscribe to it. I don't buy into it. I think it's absolutely, it's just, no. And don't give me that, the scoring, the 7 minutes of a game, the longest stretch in the past 20 years. Hey, a shot wasn't getting knocked down. That happens. Now you're going to tell me too, right? Because we do this during the NFL season. It's the same argument during the NFL season. Every Monday when we come on the air, what happens? Every Monday. I can't believe they threw the flag. I can't believe they didn't throw the flag. I can't believe they called that. Why didn't they call that? Look, you have to leave the human element into the game. You do. And sometimes there are bad calls. Sometimes there are calls that you can't even comprehend. And they were missing calls in the 70s. Go ask an old Houston Oilers fan about Mel Renfro, AFC Championship game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was in bounds. You're going back to the 70s. They didn't use instant replay to look at touchdowns and overturn calls. They started to do that. But again, it was all subjective. It was all subjective. The NBA, I don't like the fact that they have to, they had the stoppages in these plays, or they can review. Sometimes bad calls are just made. That's sports. That's all it is. But to suggest again, no, there's no rigged. There's no rigged. Stop. Then you're going to sit there and tell me you're an Eagles fan. You want to go to the Eagles' first Super Bowl win against New England? You're going to tell me that Corey Clement was in bounds in the back of the end zone? No, he didn't get his feet down. Stop. Stop. He didn't. Thinking the NBA is still rigged is a babe in the woods routine. It is. It is. It is. It's naive. Thank you. It's naive. It is definitely naive. Incidentally enough, her name in the movie, in Goodfellas was Karen. Go figure it out. But that was a good scene when he listened in on the wiretaps. Babe in the woods. All right, 5:00. This is a Friday edition, Middays with Q. We're live on TriX57 as well as our Facebook page. A lot of engagement on X. We'll get to some more of the comments. Keep them coming as well. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up. John Bueller from Fansider is going to join us on the other side. We'll reset the table. As always, you can get social with me at Rich Q on Q, IGX, and of course on TikTok, Rich Q on the mic. And we'll open it up as well. NBA is rigged by the mafia, not the owner, commissioner. The NBA is not rigged. Just stop. That's goofy talk. Stop embarrassing yourself. The fact I was doing good early on in the show, he read the room. He got it. He was figuring it out, right? He was staying on course. He was staying on point, on topic, as we like to say in the business. Now, all of a sudden, maybe he's had a couple pops. I don't know. Here we go. I don't know. That Corey Clement comment pissed Kiki off. You know what it is? Sometimes there's 5 o'clock. You get those little doggy nightmares in there. All right. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock. Keep it locked in. Quick timeout. John Bueller on the other side as well.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
What the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
All right, 5:03 on a Friday. We'll take up to 6 o'clock. A lot of comments coming in on X, Facebook as well. We'll rip them off. John Bueller, hopefully in a couple minutes, he will join us. G-Fan chiming in. Q, when are you going to start breaking down the NFC East a little more, getting into a little Giants talk? We will. It's June. What do you want me to talk about? How Russell Wilson looks at OTAs or training camp? Jackson Dart firing it off? I mean, come on, guys. You got the NBA Finals Game 7. You got the nonsense with the WNBA. You got baseball trade down coming up. I mean, man, I tell you what, you can't please everyone. You can't. You just can't please everyone. We've had this conversation. How long now, right? What do we always talk about? We always talk about reading the room. That's a big thing on this show. Reading the room. And I got to be honest. Some guys don't know how to read the room. They don't. Now, our next guest definitely knows how to read the room. Our good friend, John Bueller from Fansider, kind enough to join us for a couple moments on a Friday edition. By the way, we call this Friday edition a What the Frig Friday, which is basically what made you say what the frig this week in the world of sports. So, John, I'll ask you, did you have a what the frig moment in sports this week?
Probably a few. I'd say kind of shocked my Atlanta Braves swept the New York Mets. Mets are really struggling right now. That was a big shock. And then just the entire Rafael Devers thing is just completely and utterly wild. Like, The guy has the amount of self-awareness of like Russell Westbrook. It's like, come on, dude. Please.
I was shocked too, but I mean, look, that's a move that the Boston Red Sox decide he's not worth the headache
Right.
at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to. I wrote about this earlier for fansided.com, and it's like, who do you think you are? Do you think you're David Ortiz? Do you think you're Dustin Pedroia? You happen to play for the Red Sox and hit the ball off the green monster. They'll get rid of you. Fenway Sports Group is incredibly dysfunctional. Yes,
Right.
you go to the Giants and maybe you can reinvent yourself there, but like, team really needed you. They needed you to step up in the wake of like the first baseman going down and everything like that. Like, you can play first base. I mean, he can't. If you can play third base, you can play first base, sort of.
Yeah.
And just the whole way this transpired, where he doesn't seem like he's at fault. Yes, the Red Sox should have probably given him the heads up on Alex Bregman coming over, but like, if you're the star player of this team, you gotta. Back in Braves country, you saw Chipper Jones play some left field.
Sure.
John Smoltz went to be a closer. Like, other players have done this to help their teams win. Like, you can't be above the team, even in a individual sport, sort of like with baseball.
Yeah, and I think the problem too sometimes is, right. We always look at the risk to reward, right? And it depending upon the sport too sometimes, because the NBA, it's hard to move guys.
Right.
You're trying to match up salaries and potentially get that second or third team involved. In the NFL, we rarely see it. In baseball, you move guys, or the NFL, the head coach gets fired. I just think it's a situation. I mean, I look around baseball right now, and what are we? We're almost midway through the season, and you mentioned the NL East and your Atlanta Braves. I mean, look at the Mets; they've lost 6 straight. The Phillies now all of a sudden have won 8. They're 8-2 in their last 10, and they're getting it with pitching. And the funny thing, let me ask you this about the Phillies, though. I am curious to get your thoughts on this. Schwarber is pretty much their offense, which is just absurd to think about. He's got 23, 24 home runs. No one else has over 9 home runs. You look at Turner, Baum, Castellanos, Stott, Real Muto, Harper. I mean, all these guys are struggling. Their pitching is keeping them in, and they're also, you got the benefit of the Mets struggling right now. Now, with that being said, we talked about this last week. The Braves are 10 back. The Phillies and the Mets are knotted up. They're tied up for the league in the NL East. Do you foresee this is a kind of a continuous free fall with the Mets, or you think they'll be able to right the ship?
A lot can happen in a week. I mean, they haven't won since we last talked. So like, that's kind of wild here.
And they got the Phillies for 3.
Yeah, I know. And then you got the Braves again or something like that. It's a brutal stretch. But I think on last night's telecast, they were talking about it from the Braves' perspective. It's like the Mets got off to such a hot start, like they were bound to pull back. Like, the only team that like does this now is apparently like the Tigers or the '84 Tigers, where they're just good the whole time.
Yeah.
So you're expected some regression to the mean. There's some level of like this was bound to happen, but like, you have to have some level of adversity to kind of eventually find yourself as a champion. They will play better at some point, though. But you go back to what you're saying with the Phillies, like the fact that Schwarber is their offense, in a contract year, a guy who's just been able to hit pretty much the entire time since he came out of Indiana. Like, no matter where he's played, he's always been able to hit. Like, you would think in a stadium like Citizens Bank, like, you should be putting up better numbers than this.
Ball carries.
Yeah, but the rotation, the pitching staff for Philadelphia is kind of why they've been at this upper level for the last 4 or 5 years or so. But like, it's got to be more complimentary there. I think that maybe I don't necessarily know if I trust their manager all that much either. I don't really know if he's got the best pulse of what's going on there.
By the way, I like that 84 reference with the Detroit Tigers, right? Gibbo, Chet Lemon, right? Whitaker, Parrish,
Alan Trammell, I think Sparky Anderson, Jack Morris.
Darrell Evans, I think, was on that squad.
Yeah, a little bit before my time, but yeah, that's a team that started out like 25-5.
They had a ridiculous run to start the season, kind of like that '82 Brewers team too, as well, that met the Cardinals in the World Series. You mentioned Thompson, the manager for the Phillies, and Benjamin Castellanos. Are the Phillies? Do you look at the Phillies over the last several years and say, this is, with this core, this group, it's an underachieving team?
It's hard to say because you are in the same league as the Dodgers, where like they kind of have been at the top for so long. You've had other teams like the Mets have started to come up. The Braves have been good. We'll see what happens with Chicago. But like at this point, I think I may have mentioned this on last show. I'm kind of stunned that they haven't like won a World Series with this core yet. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
it had been a decade since they made the playoffs. Like they kind of struggled in the post, like what Cole Hamels, Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, Jimmy
Jimmy
Rollins era.
Rollins. Yep.
But like at this point, like it would kind of be a shame for them if they didn't actually like win the pennant and then win it all. I mean, they ran into Houston in 22, but that kind of team felt like they were eventually going to get another one outside of uh, the sign stealing scandal. I'm blanking on what that was, whatever that was called. But yeah, like it is a little bit disappointing that Philadelphia has not quite gotten there. But like if they don't do it this year, like when's it going to happen?
Yeah, I think, and that's again the beauty of baseball. It's such a long season. I mean, the Mets right now, they had that great run. I think they won 13 out of 15, and now they hit the skids. And with the Mets, because they have, again, arguably one of the top 5 players in the league, everyone's going to revert and they're going to look at Soto, his contract. They're going to look at his numbers, and right now he's not living up to the billing. And I don't know if he's putting too much pressure on himself. I mean, I can't sit there and say, well, it's a tough market. Well, he did it with the Yankees. So it's like I look and I'm thinking to myself, okay, are the Mets going to be able to just figure this out? And I know you're a Braves fan and you're watching the Braves closely. I don't think the Braves are making a run here in the NL East. I feel if the Phillies figure out, get their offense going with their pitching, they might run away with the division if the Mets continue to slide like this.
Yeah, I think the heartbeat of the Mets is Lindor. Like he's kind of been the guy that stirs the drink. Yes, you gave Soto all that money and everything like that, but he's in a new locker room. He's in a new clubhouse, new situation. You were part of that team that won the AL last year with the Yankees. Then you struggled versus the Dodgers. Maybe he gets a little tight there, but then again, I think he was part of the Nationals that won it back in 19. So he has a ring. So like he's just getting money at this point, but like. There may be more things in the favor of the Phillies because, like, there's a chance we may have seen the Mets' best baseball up to this point, but
Wow.
but that's not to say that they're going to get better. Like they got off such a hot start. Like they'll be good. Like I would be stunned if they don't make the postseason or anything like that. But yeah, you're probably right. It's going to come down to Philadelphia or New York in the NL East.
I mean, the Mets, they get to September for some reason. Aside from last year, I mean, their history is just kind of like getting a little tight again. John Bueller, kind enough to join us at Bueller118, does a great job with Fanside. You see the credentials right there, hosting a lot of pods. Are you watching the NBA Finals at all?
A little bit from afar. I kind of find it fascinating just because it's the Pacers and the Thunder, and I have no idea what's going to happen on Sunday, but I'm kind of excited about that. It's going to be the first championship for either team. I think the Pacers since they joined the NBA, and then
Sure.
since the Thunder since they relocated. So
I think there's no juice to the NBA Finals. I'm watching it. I mean, I'm doing a horrible job with my picks, but OKC wins 68 games, Indiana wins 50, and yet here we are at a game 7.
yeah, I mean it's kind of just real small market energy there. I think the fact that you're kind of lacking like a true like household name superstar. Like we're learning so much more about Tyrese Halliburton this year and SJ as well, but like it's not the same as what it was with Tatum with the Celtics last year. Like we've kind of seen him on the come up. I mean, or like Luca,
Yep.
or anybody else like that with like the Warriors, just some more household names. But like this is when stars are born, and it's not even like the same sort of thing with like Jokic in Denver at some point.
Yeah, well, it's a good point you bring up too, right? Because first of all, look, we know the history in the NBA winning a game 7 on the road in the NBA Finals. It's rare, just a couple teams have done it. The last being that Cleveland team that shocked the world when they were down 3-1 against Golden State and that team. So it'll be fascinating to watch how it plays out. Scott chimes in. What move could the Phillies make that would make you feel they become a favorite to win it all? I mean, for me, listen, they need outfield help. They need another bat, but I also think they got to shore up the bullpen a little bit. Do they
Yeah.
not?
Yeah, I think bullpens I mean, man, I can't necessarily give you like the best name or for anything like that, but I think bullpen will go a long way for them because that's kind of where I feel the Phillies in the past, like it's gotten like tight, it's gotten a little bit dicey, but like because the rotation's going to be good with like Nola and Wheeler and Suarez and what have you, but you go out there, you look for some guy that's going to shore up, maybe some guy who can pitch at a high level in the seventh or eighth inning to really kind of make sure that like I do think the bats for the Phillies will come alive in the postseason. They have before. It's kind of a ticking time bomb. They're like they will eventually figure it out, but maybe go look for some outfield help. But definitely, I'd go for the bullpen there for them.
If Boston's only 5 back in the AL East and are right there in the wild card as well. The reason I bring them up, potentially Aroldis Chapman, right? I mean, so they, listen, they can kind of get hot, and then all of a sudden you kind of cool off and leave that asset. But here's a guy that's been there before. Again, circumstances change with teams when they start to lose a couple games here and there. And then another name, and I floated this out about 2 weeks ago to Steve Gardner, who writes for USA Today and covers baseball, Kenley Jansen from the Angels, because again, he's been linked to Philly for a while. That's a rental. We know the Phillies and the Angels, they're familiar with doing business together. I think they got to shore up the pen. I think some of their starters have pitched really well. I know the game is deep. The game is very different now where you can shorten up the game. Wheeler, Suarez, Sanchez, when Nola comes back, they don't need to go, 7 or 8, but some of those guys can. That's where I think, that would be a move, but I don't believe the Phillies at this moment are a World Series contending team. And the reason I say that is I'm not sold on the Cubs. I'm not sold on the Brewers. I just, the Phillies at this point, I don't believe they can beat the Dodgers. I just don't. I mean, they can get to the NLCS, but I just don't think they can beat the Dodgers. And for that reason, I can't stick them and say, hey, move A, B, and C are going to help you win it all.
Yeah, it's kind of feeling like it's the Dodgers and everybody else. I do feel like if, for whatever reason, if San Diego like finds it within themselves, like they kind of have that extra gear, I think that they can occasionally get to in the postseason, that might be interesting. But again, it's all about matchups. I do like what you said about the Phillies potentially going and getting someone like Jansen or Chapman. Again, guys who have been on the big stage before, comfortable taking in different roles, will provide you a lot of headaches along the way
Right.
in those roles. But guys that aren't afraid of the moment, that have pitched in big games, and I think that would serve a team like the Phillies. But yes, it would be a rental, but it could probably help them there.
Jim on X chimes in. Good to see another fellow Braves fan on the show. Enjoying the segment. John, do you think there's any shot that the Braves trade Sale?
It doesn't look like it because, Anthopoulos has come out and said like, no, we're not going to do it. And you would essentially need a Godfather offer for that to happen, because you've got him under a manageable contract for this year. You have a club option for next year. I think it's like 18 or 22 million. I mean, this is the team that he grew up rooting for. He grew up in Lakeland, Florida. This is the team that he always wanted to play for. He's coming off winning a Triple Crown. And I think that like he likes the guys that he's in the rotation with, whether that be Strider, Schwellenbach, maybe Lopez when he comes back. But if the team really hits the fan in the next couple of weeks, I mean, they're playing something like 13 games in a row to close out June. If you struggle versus the Phillies and the Mets, and God forbid you lose to the Marlins like lose 2 or 3 there, that could force your hand here. But you'd have to get like the best prospects from somebody at this point. And prospects that doesn't really work that well for me in baseball, because like I was told for years how great Hurst Waldrop's going to be. I never saw it. I knew Drake Baldwin was going to be good, and we'll see with Didier Fuentes, I guess is how he says. He pitches tonight against the Fish to basically move the rotation back. But yeah, maybe Sale does get traded, but like a lot's got to happen between now and then, and it'd have to be like the absolute perfect situation. Probably have to be to an AL team. I don't necessarily know if Anthopoulos could stomach it to go to an NL team and see him win, but that remains to be seen.
My ears perked up when you said Godfather offer, which we'll get into in a moment. And it's funny, you mentioned like the prospect. I remember many, many, many years ago, the guy that was untouchable was Matt Laporta, right? Mm-hmm. Untouchable. And the guy bounced around, played a couple seasons in baseball, had a cup of coffee, And sometimes it doesn't pan out when we start talking about these guys untouchable, untouchable, and it doesn't pan out. I want to switch gears for a moment, talk a little NFL with you. I brought this up the other day on the show. We were talking about quarterbacks, young quarterbacks that the audience and I were kind of debating and dissecting, two or three that are really ready to take the next jump, maybe kind of outside the box, right? I mean, obviously a Daniels is a Daniels, but from your viewpoint, in your opinion, two or three that you think young quarterbacks that are ready to take that next jump, who would they be?
Well, we would probably say that Daniels has made that jump, and we would say that, like, obviously Jalen Hurts has clearly made that jump. Now, at this point, you're kind of looking at that, like, that next tier of quarterbacks. Uh, Pretty bullish on CJ Stroud. I feel like he's the division's not very good. I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards maybe Tennessee if Cam Ward hits, like being the second best team in the AFC South. I like D'Amico Ryans as a head coach, and when Stroud was at Ohio State, I never really felt that he like operated out of fear. He kind of like no challenge was too big for him, and I mean, I think he's probably the quarterback that Houston's honestly deserved. You thought you could have had that with Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
Didn't work out for a myriad of reasons, but that's one guy that I think in the next couple of years, we could see him really really take Houston to a pretty good level there in the AFC South.
Um, what do you, if I said CJ Stroud or Jordan Love, you're taking CJ Stroud?
Yes, I kind of feel that like it's so touch and go with Matt LaFleur. Like I feel like I feel like he and Sean McDermott are kind of one of the same, like great regular season coach, and they get to the playoffs and they shrink.
Sure.
And I do feel like I like the Matthew Golden pick that they got out of Texas, but like it kind of felt like they were more kind of trying to rub it in Aaron Rodgers' face, like, "Ha, we got a wide receiver when you're gone."
Sure.
A lot of pressure on him. I think Love's fine. Like a good player at Utah State. I think he's proven to be a really high end player, but he's probably closer to like what Jeff Garcia was with like the 49ers than like thinking he's going to be like Steve Young to Joe Montana, kind of like that succession plan, like from Favre to Rodgers to Love. Division's really tough, but I think that like if they get the right matchup and they have like more importantly, if they've got the right defense, because the Packers only go as far as their defense allows them to. I mean, there may be a chance where like he gets to a Super Bowl, maybe he wins it, but I just kind of feel that the pathway forward's a little bit clearer for Stroud than Love, but I still like Love a lot.
I mentioned, I think, low risk, high reward propositions, right? Justin Fields. I think the kid's poised to put up some decent numbers. They can run the football. They've got a couple wide receivers, new coaching staff, no nonsense. And then the other name, and I'll get your thoughts on Fields in a minute. The other name was Bo Nix. I mean, I think this kid's ready to kind of take that next step. And I'm not going to sit there and say top 10, but, we look at the Herberts of the world, the Lawrences of the world. I mean, he puts up gaudy numbers and maybe is in consideration for MVP, and they push Kansas City in the AFC West and they win 9-10 games, then we're going to be able to kind of put him, I guess you can say, in that tier. How about Justin Fields? I think the kid got a bad rap early on in his career with Chicago.
Chicago is just tough, and it's going to be tough as long as the McCaskies own that team, which is forever. Like it'll be cockroaches and them owning that team. I've lived in Chicago. I think the city just the fan bases just smother the teams. The expectations are like so unrealistic, making this guy and that guy their savior. They think everybody's going to be Michael Jordan, and it's not. So Fields is from the same county as me, just outside of Atlanta. Obviously, he played at Georgia briefly, went to Ohio State. I'm not super high on Fields. I think if everything goes right for him and he's got a lot of talent around him, he can make it work. I am very bullish on Aaron Glenn as a head coach. I think that like the fact he started for the Jets back in the 90s really came up under Dan Campbell. I really think very highly of him as a head coach. I think Darren Muji, if he's going to be a good GM, which I think he was college teammates with Kevin O'Connell at San Diego State. I think as long as that team kind of remains, that tandem remains connected, like maybe like in the best case scenario, you're looking at kind of what Campbell has with Brad Holmes in Detroit, where like
Gotcha.
it just kind of goes. But obviously, Woody Johnson's not Sheila Ford Hamp. There's a complete ownership thing here. There's a lot of talent around there for Fields. I think that the Jets are going to see if it's going to work. There will be moments where he is going to majorly impress, and there's going to be other times where he just kind of comes up short. He's not a guy that I would like have fully invested in, but I think that there's a lot less pressure on him with the Jets than I think there was with him on the Bears or the Steelers.
Yeah, well, remember too, the Steelers brought him and Russell Wilson on one-year contracts. They wanted Fields back.
Yeah.
I mean, there was thought, but he tested the market and he cashed in with the Jets. So I think it's a low risk, high reward for him. I know there were some throws that, he missed that you're like, okay, if you're an NFL quarterback, you should not be missing those throws, right? So I just, I think the kid's going to have an opportunity to silence a lot of critics. Now, Bo Nix, I just look at this kid, and that's a Sean Payton quarterback, right? Wilson was a bad fit with Denver under Payton, but he was also the bad fit under Hackett too, because remember that first game, they took the ball out of his hands late on a 4th and 3 and elected to kick a long field goal or attempt a long field goal. So you got Bo Nix. I don't know if I'm too high on Denver or maybe I'm just drinking the juice a little bit. I think the Denver Broncos, I think they're going to push Kansas City this year. I really do. You always look at those teams that you start to see it and then they trend up and then they're, okay, let me see that jump to next year. Like Washington, they just came out of, just shot out of a cannon. But Denver was more of a little more of a longer process. And then they won some games late and Nick stood out and they ran the football. Maybe I'm too high. You tell me, am I too high on Bo Nix in Denver? I mean, do you believe he's ready to take that next jump, that next step?
You're not too high on Bo Nix, and it kind of pains me to say this because, like, I don't care for Auburn or the Broncos at all, but like, this is a guy that's had so many starts in college. 3 years at Auburn, 2 years at Oregon. He's seen everything. Sean Payton knew exactly what he wanted in him. And I think the Broncos just have a really good feel for who they are. And I think more so than probably the Chargers, I think that they could give the Chiefs their biggest run for the money in division. They probably will come up short, but like there's things that Denver does really well. Offensive line's really good. They usually have good players in the secondary. It's been about getting consistently good quarterback play.
Yep.
And like coming into the Broncos, like Nix was just so much further ahead than like other guys, like just light years ahead of where I think JJ McCarthy is with the Vikings. I'm still really dubious on that, but I never thought Nix was going to bust. I thought he's going to have a very, very high floor, and the ceiling will kind of be, it'll be determined within the first 3 years of him in the league, depending on how well he gels with Sean Payton. And up to this point, like, yeah, it's been really good. I wish they would have gotten a running back for him, but as Amari Hampton goes to the Chargers, that might come back to bite you later on.
5:30 on a Friday edition of Middays with Q. Rich Quinones here. John Bueller from Fansided kind enough to join us for a couple minutes. We'll take you up to 6 live on Trix 57 Facebook page as well as Trix57.com. You mentioned McCarthy. So coming off an injury, he's now has the keys to the castle with Minnesota in that offense. Are the Vikings going to be better without Sam Darnold and this kid under center? Because people – they get on me because I'm a slinging Sammy Darnold fan. And I said, this is the guy that won 14 games. He stunk it up late against Detroit, stunk it up in the playoffs game. That happens. But that's one of the reasons their win total is probably sitting at 7 or 8. So what kind of numbers does this kid have to put up to kind of let people forget already of Sam Darnold, even though Vikings fans probably look at that game against Detroit and then the game in the playoffs and they're like, all right, we're over it anyway.
I don't really care what numbers he puts up. He just needs to instill confidence in the offense. And at some point, he's going to have to be the deciding factor to win a game. I feel that everything was propped up for him to succeed in Michigan. Like, it's a run-centric offense.
Yep.
Jim Harbaugh, we all know about scandal and everything there. This is a 5-star talent out of Greater Chicago, goes to plays the IMG Academy. I don't know if he necessarily has enough touch to really succeed. I thought of the 6 quarterbacks in the first round, he was the furthest from playing by a country mile. Really, the Vikings, it's like it's all about Kevin O'Connell. Like everybody seems to like Kevin O'Connell. Not really a big fan of Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. I think that he's been kind of like he's like a kid that like people mislabeled as gifted, where really he just has hella ton of ADD and he's just blowing up Mentos and Coke Diet Coke in a parking lot at a science fair. It's like what are we doing here? But I was not bullish on Darnold at all. Really kind of down on him with Seattle, although Mike McDonald may empower him. But I've been way off on the Vikings. But like I'm going to be the last person to get on the JJ McCarthy hype train. I'll tell you that.
Gotcha. And listen, to be fair, Darnold had a career year. He had a change of scenery. He had a career year. He put up numbers, and the market, that's what the market bared. That type of contract for Sam Darnold. I mean, it's almost like I can then sit there and say, are they going to be better with Darnold, or would they have been offensively better with Geno Smith?
It's tough there. I like Geno Smith a lot because I feel like he's just been through stuff and come out on the other side, reinvented himself. Bullish to see what he can do there in Las Vegas. But like, I kind of wonder if Darnold's going to be an upgrade over him in Seattle. I'm not so sure. It is Clint Kubiak, I think, coming over to be the OC from the Saints. So maybe there's some sort of Minnesota connection there that he may share with Darnold. So maybe it'll work out. I don't know.
Lastly, with the quarterbacks, another team, again, might be too high on, but I see them trending up. Culture change. They played hard, and I think the game will slow down for them. It'll continue to slow down as Bryce Young. Now, at first, I was like, I think this kid's trending towards being a bust. But then when you go back and you watch some of these games, and again, the offensive line is either going to be a young quarterback's best friend or they're going to be a young quarterback's career killer. And this kid was sacked 62 times his rookie season. He was only sacked 29 times. So that tells me the offensive line doing a better job. He's seeing the game. It's slowing down. He's making the decisions. He's checking out. He's getting the ball out of his hands fast. What about Bryce Young? Too high, too low on him heading into 2025?
Optimistic about the Panthers long term. I really like Dave Canellis as a head coach. He just kind of, he put out a lot of fires there in Charlotte, and I think told David Tepper like, hey, we need you to just not do this anymore, and get Dan Morgan in there to build up a good team, former linebacker. If they really get better in the trenches, because it's imperative that they have to keep Bryce Young upright because he's like 5'9". He's not very tall, and throws a good football. Not a very big dude. Panthers have a lot of weapons to work around. I mean, they've got an outside shot to potentially win the NFC South, but a lot's got to go wrong in Tampa and Atlanta for that to happen. But Carolina feels like they're about a year away. But this is the year where I think with Bryce Young, we'll know if he's going to be a Pro Bowl caliber player or not. If he is, that's great. And if he's not, that's probably okay too. It's just kind of what we'll know. We'll know if there's another gear there with him. I mean, and I do appreciate that he, getting benched like that for Andy Dalton midseason last year was really humbling. Like people thought like it wasn't going to work out for him. He comes back in and looked like an exponentially better player down the stretch. A guy that like the Panthers aren't a pushover anymore. I think they're a team that everybody has to take seriously on their schedule. I think there's the physical limitations to him with that, but like if you have the right pieces around him, you can definitely win. So I'll be optimistic with Bryce Young for the time being.
I mean, listen, it is humbling. You get benched by the not the red rifle. I call him the BB gun and water pistol. Now you did mention, the Godfather offer. Now I don't know if you are a movie buff or not, but my question of the day is Jaws top 10 all time? Now, are you a movie buff at all?
Not really, but
you're killing this segment.
No, I'll do it. But my girlfriend has worked in film before, so like I gotta step up for the both of us here. So I would say in terms of like impact for what it was, like, it's really kind of put Steven Spielberg on the map. You got the ride Universal we've all seen, Orlando at some point. Got the soundtrack, dun, 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 all that stuff. I feel like there's like it inspired a lot of people. It scared a lot of people from going to a beach. And you
Well,
know what?
I would say this. Do you put it in the category of I've got a list of 5 or 6 movies. It doesn't matter what scene we're at, but I will watch the movie. Like everyone has to have a list like that, right? A couple movies where you're like, oh man, like The Fugitive. I got to throw that to the list. Do you have a movie or two like that, or this segment is totally killed on a Friday? You
I'm
got
not.
to placate me. Ad lib, give me something.
I'm kind of more of a comedy sort of guy. Obviously, my last name is Bueller, so Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Anytime that's on,
Spaceballs 2 is coming out.
I did see that too. Yeah, that could be Spaceballs is certainly up there as well. Of a certain generation of Superbad or Pineapple Express, Dumb and Dumber. I would say in terms of like other movies and stuff like that. Trying to think like Dark Knight certainly up there. I feel like the Christopher Nolan Batman ones do it for me. Trying to think if there's anything else that I can finish on a good note. I'm more of a sports and music guy, Rich, but like I'll just say like I don't know, the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. That's another one too.
I'll give you that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean, placate me a little bit. That's all. I mean, some of these guys never saw The Fugitive, never saw Godfather, ranking Godfather over Goodfellas. I mean, never watched some of these. These are classics. I just don't get it. Now, poor Scott. Listen, we're going to give him a pass on the read the room. I'm going to fire this off for you before I let you get out of here. It's
Okay.
a good question. Of all the quarterback coaches you mentioned, which one would be the easiest for the league to figure out? Quarterback coaches, kind of like that combo, if you will.
Okay, so quarterback combo that I mentioned, or can I do one that I've not mentioned?
There you go.
I don't know if it's going to work with Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh. I don't know. I'm not Justin Herbert at some point. Like he's got to prove to me that he's more than just a physical specimen. Like he's got to go out there.
He played well late though. I mean, he had a clunker in the playoff game. Yes.
I don't see it. Like I don't necessarily know if he's got that killer instinct in him that other great quarterbacks do. Jim Harbaugh wears people out. Justin Herbert doesn't seem like a guy who likes the spotlight. I know that he basically came to LA like, hey, I want to work with you. I want to see what you can do. But like, man,
I'm a little surprised by that. I mean, he's had a really nice start to his career, has he not?
Yeah, like there's just better versions of him out there. Like, Josh Allen's just way better. I'm not on board with.
Well, now to be fair, now you're going, I mean, look, Allen, Mahomes, Jackson, right? Allen, Mahomes, Jackson, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put Hurts in top 5.
Yeah, and I put Burrow there, and
I'm sorry, and Burrow.
Yeah.
How can I forget Burrow? Right, and could have made a case MVP of the league. Herbert is maybe that second tier ish with, the Daniels, Goff still hanging around Stafford, Prescott's fallen off. I'm a fan of Herbert, and I thought, the argument last season was what? You don't want to play this team because they're hot. Now, he turned around and played poorly against Houston. He had the 4 picks, a couple pick sixes. It was just not his game. But, leading in, they won what? 3, 4 out of their last 5. I mean, he was kind of the catalyst. I'm a little surprised by that. Hold on. We got some Georgia comments here right there. Joey Beechheim's in The Fugitive. I can't believe he didn't watch it. Whatever. John is a GA guy, born and raised. Give us your tidbits, inside info on how local GA residents really get into the Masters.
Okay, so Augusta's about 3 hours east of Atlanta on I-20. Basically anything there from like Lake Country, like Lake Oconee, Lake Jackson, anything out there, like just kind of shuts down. Like it's a zoo out there. But like I will say though, growing up in Georgia, spending 33 years of my life here, I could definitively say like I don't know it's springtime until I see the azaleas bloom at Augusta National. I've never been to the course itself. I've been to Augusta, hottest place on earth in the summer, by the way. Like just there's no wind. I played baseball up there. It was so hot, but definitely. I mean, if you love pimento cheese, get that there. Get the egg salad sandwich. Get the peach ice cream. That's what I've been told. Also, when you go to the course there, like they take your phone, so you're basically transported back in time to like the 90s.
I don't know if a lot of people can survive that.
No, it's you have to like say, okay, I have to be accountable. Oh, you have to meet me here at a certain time. looking at a watch as opposed to a phone. So uh, I think that's all like amazing and everything. But I'm really happy that it's become such a cultural phenomenon year after year after year. I love how it's still like such an integral part of the PGA with like the Masters, or like the golf tournaments, and I love how it starts everything off like that. Some of my favorite memories, definitely love watching Tiger play. Love the two championships that Bubba
Sure.
Watson got in 2010 and 2012. It's I don't know. Amen Corner does it for me every time. Sometimes sometimes I end up watching like the '86 Masters with Nicholas in that putt. It's my favorite
That's
golf tournament.
CBS. That was a CBS promo before Tiger back
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
day.
definitely
Georgia is a pretty big football state, high school football too.
massive. Yeah.
Just rabbit
Mhm.
down there as well. I mean, does it get crazy during Friday Night Lights and whatnot?
Oh yeah, like if you're down like so if you're in the Metro Atlanta area, there's a handful of counties like Gwinnett's kind of a little bit more northern, like a lot of really really big schools there. There's a lot of powerhouses like Parkview and Grayson and what have you, like players such as like what Cameron Hayward's from up there, Taylor Heineke played up there, like trying to think of other players, Parkview, Stinchcombe brothers, probably not, Justin Fields is from my county, Fulton County is big. Then you get kind of closer down to the border, like Valdosta is a national powerhouse. You get stuff over there, kind of like Greater Jacksonville. It's crazy. So yeah, high school football here is a huge deal. Yeah, people really really love that stuff, and it makes covering college football and recruiting a little bit easier. It's like, okay, I'm familiar with that team in that
Hmm.
region, so weather's here usually pretty good. Baseball is a huge deal. Basketball, soccer, just people just like going outside here.
Yeah, I know. I know. Like East Coast, DMV, like Jersey, PA, Baltimore, Maryland, DC. Like it's a hotbed, obviously, with high school sports, high school football, but from where I'm at, and if you go down up and down 95, believe it or not, it's a hotbed for boxing, especially DMV, Baltimore, Maryland, the Virginia area, New York, Pennsylvania. A lot of Golden Gloves, Diamond Gloves, amateur boxers, a lot of pros, a lot of venues. They put on events pretty much a couple times during the month. It's a little different now because they have in-season tournaments going on where they kind of pull the fighters, so the local cards kind of get saturated. But come September, it's all football. It's all football. It's all football. It's all football. Give us your real thoughts on Savannah Bananas. They seem entertaining. I know people are, kind of over them, but I mean, whatever. To each his own, right?
It's a moneymaker. It's a cash cow. I mean, you basically made baseball Harlem Globetrotters. I mean, more power to them. Like, I'm not going to spend $1,000 to go watch them play at Truist Park, but if you want
That's
to
how
go,
much it cost.
I don't know.
Oh
Like,
my goodness.
I'm not going to do that. Like, I won't pay $100 to go watch the Braves play. Like, it's gotta be.
You can go in a drive-through and get a couple burgers and popcorn and soda and watch the 50th anniversary of Jaws. My all-time classic with that one. What do you have going on with Fanside and the podcast coming up?
Fan-sided. Been writing some stuff about Heisman Trophy sleepers. Just filed something about the ACC. Doing a lot of stuff in and around like the Devers trade and the fallout of that. Got some stuff kind of going here with the lead up to the NBA Finals. Kind of college football is my number one thing. So like I'm basically waiting until we get there and I can really unload there. But yeah, Blog Nerdy podcast, my Atlanta Falcons podcast. I could do it every Wednesday. Still trying to figure out like what's going on with the team after OTAs. Feeling really positive, getting a lot of good feedback from Dirty Bird Nation there. So I've been really appreciative of that. Fan base is pretty excited about this team. College football, trying to find new ways to entertain ourselves. My colleague Cody Williams on Fanside got a new laptop because he couldn't do Zoom on it for a while. So like
Oh
we
my
can't.
God, get these guys up to snuff, will you?
I know, and you're trying to record across like two different time zones. Like I'm in Atlanta, he's in Los Alamos, New Mexico. Like just
Wow.
trying to make it all work. But yeah, that comes out every Monday and Thursday. Every week, and then during the season we'll do like something after the games on Sunday. When the playoff rankings go, we do go every Tuesday. I'm talking in front of a microphone multiple hours a day every single day. Haven't lost my voice yet, but I might at some point, Rich.
It comes with the territory, brother. You know, I had my buddy Lloyd Vance, who covers the NFL, does a show on 102.9 FM, The Game down in Tampa. We were talking about Atlanta when we were kind of going back over the NFC South, kind of piggyback what you and I talked about last week. And I mentioned Kirk Cousins. I said, really, at the end of the day, it's probably the best spot for him. He's collecting a check. He's sitting on the bench, and if Penix falters,
Yeah.
then you got that plan B and Cousins, right?
Yeah, I mean, like Penix has had some injuries before, and Cousins knows this offense. He knows the receivers, and you go out there, you be a good teammate. You maybe have a couple starts if things hit the fan for Penix, and then maybe try somewhere else. It just didn't work out to get traded like you wanted to this offseason. But I don't know. What people forget about Cousins is like every step of the way, he's always been a team first guy. It's the same thing at Michigan State, Washington, Minnesota. It's kind of more of an agent play at this point with what's kind of going on in Atlanta. But like, look, he's a very likable guy. I mean, people like the dude. So we'll see what happens with him being a 20-something million backup.
All right. Lastly, I'll get you out of here on Joey's thought question. Georgia State football program that brought the old Brave Stadium and made it their own.
So Georgia State plays at what was Turner Field or Centennial Olympic Stadium. Basically, what happened is in like 2016, the city of Atlanta was like only going to fund renovating one of their three stadiums. They ultimately they picked what was Phillips Arena, now State Farm, where the Hawks play. Arthur Blank, with more money than God's like, okay, I'm going to build Mercedes-Benz Stadium so I can also get an MLS team to come here and make sure that Falcons don't ever relocate. SEC championship's always going to be here, always have the Peach Bowl. And the Braves were like, rather than us fronting the bill to renovate this, because again, the people that own the Braves like aren't from Atlanta. It's like Liberty Media, Sirius XM. I think they're out of Denver. They're like, let's build our own version of Wrigleyville out in the suburbs and everything like that. Very controversial. County commissioners got fired, but like it's about 10 minutes from my childhood home. People love going to the Battery. Seems to work out pretty well for them there. But yes, Georgia State, since the Braves relocated, they basically renovated the stadium so the Panthers play there. They've got former Georgia running backs coach Del McGee, former high school legend down there at Carver, at Columbus. He's recruiting that up. So they play there. Basically, Georgia State's in and around that area. So like a lot of the property that was there for parking lot and stuff goes to university. So I'm all in favor of helping public college education across the board, really adding some legitimacy to what had once been a commuter school.
That's interesting, man. I'll tell you why. You and walking encyclopedia there on Georgia. The only thing I know about Georgia is it's a very long state to drive through. So,
Yeah. Yes.
among a couple other things. All right, my friend, I greatly appreciate the extended time. Everyone check out John's work as well on Fansite. Give him a follow on social media. He will join me next week as well. We will start to maybe dabble into a little sneak peek into college football and get some of those Heisman thoughts as well. But always appreciate you, brother. Have a great weekend, and thanks for jumping on board for a couple moments.
Have a great weekend too. See you next week.
All right, you got it. There you have it. Our guy, quick timeout. We'll come back.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
All right, 548, great stuff from John Bueller. Appreciate him. He's going to join us every Friday as well, especially during the college football and NFL season. Couple minutes to play with. Let me get to some comments on Facebook. Dee's chiming in. I got Goodfellas isn't better at all. And then he actually says, Love Godfather. OKC will lose on Sunday. Oh my goodness. Horrible, horrible, horrible. T chiming in. Q, that would be a monumental, epic choke job by the Thunder after winning close to 70 games. You nailed it. Which direction are you going? Mush away. You know what? Just for that, to be honest, part of me thinks, do I do the reverse mush tactic? I mean, that's what I want to know. Do I do the reverse mush tactic? I want to know if I turn around and if I finally go with Indiana, then does that mean that OKC is going to win by at least 15, right? Ball 316. Joe Lewis once came in the chat room. I asked him, how old is Rex Gumman? You know what he told me? Joe Lewis said Rex Gumman, 137 years old. That's another, by the way, that is an all-time great. That goes up there as well. Coming to America, Trading Places. Yeah, absolutely. So Q-Fecta, we've been a little WNBA plays. We've been good. We haven't been great. The NBA, these finals, I've been absolutely just horrible, man. I mean, if I might have to reimburse some of you guys, I apologize, but let me just give you the picks anyway. I'm a glutton. OKC, if you lose game 7 at home of the NBA finals after winning 68 games against an inferior opponent in Indiana that wants 50, that doesn't have the type of star power that you do, is an epic choke job. I got to keep riding with OKC, and I'm going to be okay laying the 7.5. Baseball tonight, I actually want some plus money for one, so I'm going to go White Sox plus 160, 155 on the money line versus Toronto. I've been on fire with the WNBA, 6-2 over my last 8. Seattle laying 1.5 against Las Vegas on this Friday. Let me see if I can squeeze in a couple. Can you entertain the folks unaware of the reverse mush? The reverse mush tactic, which I would say was established in the mid to late 1990s. It's pretty much it's a very genius tactic, by the way. I mean, you can play it a couple ways. Like if you're a fan of, say, the Giants, and you want to sit there and wax poetic about the Giants, but you want them to win, but secretly you don't want people to know that, you reverse mush tactic. You sit there and say, oh my God, the Giants are going to get absolutely destroyed by the Eagles. I'm not even going to watch. What's the point? Let me go fishing. I'm going to put money on the Philadelphia Eagles, and then the Giants win the game. So in essence, you're trying to mush your team, but it's in a reverse way. It's all about, from a psychological standpoint. So like, for instance, using game 7 of the NBA Finals, we know, I know, the listening audience knows that if I were to turn around on this What the Frig Friday edition of Middays with Keel and be adamant, cocky, arrogant, not humble, not magnanimous, I would basically... No, November did it. What are you talking about? So basically what Angel did from November... Yeah, well, actually, hold on, man. That is accurate. That's 100% accurate, because every week Angel sat there and just cried in his soup out there in Tampa about the Eagles losing and getting Sirianni fired and benching Hurts and all this nonsense. So correct. Yes. Comprende. Understood. Yes. Tu entendías? Good. So the tactic would have been this. Because I want OKC to win this series in 7, then I want to sit there and say, hey, give me Indiana laying the points. The mush push is, without a doubt, Scott, it is legal. Now, I will say this. There are some that frown upon my tactics. Some that would actually say my tactics are, I don't want to say borderline Bush League, questionable, but it gets the job done. Like, you can never question my, the moral high ground. Never question. The etiquette, never question. But sometimes you do have to, you sometimes have to just desperate times, desperate measures, desperate times. It's just, and it's very impractical. A desperate man is very impractical. But sometimes if you got to reverse the hex, you got to go in a different direction, you have to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And I can say this, the one time the reverse mush worked, The last time it really worked for me as a fan, it wasn't even Giants going into Minnesota. It was Giants going into Green Bay back in 2007. Yeah. Or actually the 2011 season when Green Bay was 15-1. Not a chance in hell. They're not going to match up against Aaron Rodgers in the offense. They're going to get waxed. And of course, the Giants won that game. Joey says, little tush push down Jersey Shore, 91. That's not good. See, Joey, you strike me as a guy that would get in trouble in Seaside Heights. You strike me as a guy that would try to strut his stuff on the boardwalk and probably start mouthing off to somebody, and that would be it. That would be it. Your reverse mushed Eagles to Super Bowl with when you said on air the Eagles were cooked after week 4. I didn't say the Eagles were cooked after week 4. Do we have to check the tape? I didn't say that. There's absolutely no way. Let's go back. Let's check the tape. Hold on. Let me pull back. What game was that after? Oh, that's after they lost to Tampa. You know what? I didn't say they were cooked. I said they were, Joey, I'm not even pulling that comment up. I said, yeah, you're right. De facto, you're right. That's when they got killed by Tampa Bay. And they were 2-2 coming off the bye week. I believe I also said if they lose to Cleveland, Sirianni is going to get fired. And then they promptly went on and won, every single game left except for Washington. So again, that was 100%. You're right. I'm listen. Okay, you guys are elephants, man. You're right. I said it. You were a little bit out of your line. A little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit. All right, let me get to a couple more comments. 556. Matty G again in Delaware chimes in. Q. Pretty simple for me. I'm going to go Godfather. I'm going to go Scarface. I'm going to go, how about this? He's pulling this one. Dazed and Confused is a top 5. I'm not the biggest Dazed and Confused fans, but okay. He goes Fugitive and he goes Die Hard 2. See, that's where you lose me. The original Die Hard trumps Die Hard 1 and 3, Die Hard with a Vengeance. But Dazed and Confused? Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, Jaws, Godfather, Fugitive, Shawshank, Spaceballs, any of the Rockies, except, Rocky 5, not so much. Doesn't matter the scene. You're locked in. You're Caddyshack, you're locked in. Naked Gun, you are locked in. All right, so I am going to go with OKC. This is going to be a legacy game for SGA. I can't imagine when we're on the air on Monday and we're talking about Indiana winning and SGA having 16 points and fouling out. I just can't wait for Monday's show. But I think the kid has 30 plus. Man, I'll tell you, they lose this game at home, game 7. I think it speaks more about OKC than it does Indiana. I really don't. Next Monday, Larry Henry from The Athletic. Talk a little soccer with him. Lloyd Vance Tuesdays and Thursdays. Costco on college football. Bueller back in the saddle on Friday. Steve Gardner from USA Today. Trade deadline coming up as well. We've got a couple fighters that are going to be jumping on during the week as well. We'll talk a little boxing, a little MMA, mix it up a little bit as well. As far as the baseball, not a bad slate this weekend. Big series. Phillies and the Mets, Yankees host the O's, Tigers on the road against the Rays as well. So you got a lot of games this evening. You had one day game, and that was the Mariners over the Cubs 9-6. Don't forget, every Monday to Friday, you can also catch my Sports Flash powered by Trix 57 on their Facebook page. Monday to Friday, live on Trix 57, Middays with Q. Appreciate John Bueller swinging on by for a couple moments. You guys were fantastic with all the comments, the engagement, Facebook, X, and of course on the YouTube channel. Don't forget, get social with us as you typically do on Trix57, Facebook, IG, and X. You can also log on to Trix57.com. Follow me on X and IG at Rich Q on Q, TikTok, Rich Q on the mic. A couple other shows this weekend as well. Betting shows on my YouTube channel at Rich Quinones. Check that out as well. So have a wonderful Sports Friday. Enjoy Game 7 of the NBA Finals. I can't believe we got to this point. Game 7 of the NBA Finals on Sunday. And OKC better not disappoint me, or it's going to be a very miserable Monday edition of Middays with Q, or as we like to say, lunes mentioso, Manolo, man up, Mondays with Q, Monday's edition of Q. All right, last comment, and it's going to be Kevin C. and Jackson Q. Excellent show as always. Reverse mush. I'm going with the Pacers and the numbers. Have a good weekend, brother. You too. All right, appreciate all you guys keeping us locked in as always. Don't forget, we'll be back in the saddle from 4 to 6 on Monday. Keep it locked in. Have a wonderful sports weekend. All you guys be safe and sound. De facto says take the Pacers and the points. Why not? But we're going to go with OKC nonetheless. All right. Have a good sports weekend. As always, I'm Rich Quinones. Be safe, be sound. Hasta luego, buen día.